Allison is out today. So you guys get me as your chair. So I guess it's like one of those initiations into being the chair of this. So everybody bear with me. But I want to welcome everybody to the October 23rd monthly meeting of the HPRS Advisory Council. And I'm wondering if anybody wants to volunteer for our land acknowledgement.
I'll do it. A land acknowledgement is a formal statement recognizing the indigenous people of a place. It is a public gesture and appreciation for the past and present indigenous stewardship of the lands that we now occupy. As we begin this meeting, we respectfully acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional lands of the Dena'ina Athabascan people. The Dena'ina have stewarded this land for thousands of years and continue to do so today. We honor their ongoing connection to this land, waters, and community. We recognize the enduring presence and contributions of Alaska Native peoples across the state and are committed to uplifting indigenous.
Oh, there you go.
Of uplifting indigenous voices, histories, and leadership. As a collaborative group working to support and house members of our community, we acknowledge the legacy of colonization and its ongoing impacts, and we affirm our responsibility to promote equity, justice, and partnership with the indigenous peoples of this region.
Laura, you're on mute.
Sorry, guys. Next is our mission moment, which Jessica Parks from ACH is going to present.
All right, thank you, everyone. I wanted to take an opportunity at this meeting to talk about the really mission impacts of Project Homeless Connect this year. Everyone who was part of that event will know that we had a unexpected number of people show up, which really documented the need in our community. We had over 1,000 people show up. Funny, we had little clickers so the door people could count how many people were coming. And then we discovered those clickers only go up to 999. So that's how I know more than 1,000 people came, because we kept clicking and it stopped at 999. We served, I'm going to do some math in my head. 400, 600. Over 600 meals. Math in my head is not going to happen at 4:12 on a Thursday. Over 600 meals were served to people there. And we gave out all 500 sets of cold weather gear that we had there, along with a stack of rain checks that we gave out to people who were unsheltered. Most of those things just finished coming in today. So we'll be delivering some of those items out and have cold weather gear be part of the outreach work that happens all throughout the winter, both here at our office and out in the camps. But really just wanted to thank everyone. We had over 100 community volunteers come, both the day before the event and the day of the event. Huge shout out to Mitch there, who has revealed his skill at packing a U-Haul. So heads up that Mitch knows how to pack a U-Haul and he is good at it. On the day of, we had people who were greeting people coming in, acting as navigators, helping people get around the space. People at every station handing out items, helping fit people for winter gear. We had volunteers that were holding space at our coffee stations. Every job you could imagine in the space there. And then we had just over, I believe it was 92 was our final count of community partners who came and either hosted a table We had people hosting, or posted up at the listening post, so not at a table. We had healthcare providers, we had the mammography van there. So we had a really wide array of service providers there. Just cannot thank people enough. And as I said, the need is out there. And so the ability for everyone to come together and provide those services. And last but not least, the Megan from the DMV and Vital Records stayed until after 7 p.m. to make sure that every single person who was in line that needed an ID got an ID. And that was huge for them to be able to not just stay and finish that, but be able to offer that to people who needed that support. We know that having those vital documents can sometimes be the key to unlocking housing for someone. So making sure that people had that was really key. So just a huge thank you to everybody who came out and participated.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessica. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
This is Chris. I'll make that motion.
Roger, second.
Great. Thank you. And then we are going to have a special presentation by the Anchorage Hope team.
I think we're just here to kind of talk. We don't have any presentation. But I think most people probably know us, but I'm Tanya with Anchorage Hope Teams, and this is Ruth.
My name is Ruth. Ruth, Tanya and I, we've been partnered for the last 7 years. We started out as a co-response team responding to mental health calls and suicide intervention type of calls, crisis calls. And then about 2 years ago, our mobile intervention teams were expanded. So we now have 5 teams. It's an officer paired with a clinician, still responding to calls for service. And the chief asked us about a year ago if we wanted to, if we were interested in doing homeless outreach. And Tanya and I, we were on board like 2.5 seconds afterwards. We were like, yes, we want to do that. And then we just we've been together now, we're doing this kind of work for about a year, a little bit over a year now. You want to kind of talk about what we do?
Yeah, I mean, we just do mostly outreach, try to just connect people to resources. I think when we very first started, we just seen such a need for all the resources, not only in camps, but also just people who they don't live in camps, but just kind of in doorways and off to themselves, just really like the severely mentally ill. And which we just went to LA, and we're very excited about some of the stuff that we learned there. We can hopefully share that at some point when we have more time, but they have a lot of very exciting, cool stuff there that we're hoping to bring back and implement some of that here, hopefully, fingers crossed. But I mean, I guess I don't know how in depth we should be going with like our presentation or how we talk about what we do, because we could talk for a long time about it. But so I guess, is there just any like guidelines or questions? Or kind of caught off guard here about I'm caught off guard about what we should present on, because it's mostly just outreach. That's all we do is outreach from the time we come in till the time we go home. So a lot of it is just connecting, like, again, people to resources or just checking in on folks. Resources are pretty limited, obviously. So a lot of it is just making sure people they have medical or connected to treatment. I feel like I'm rambling because most
I
people
got
just
a question if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So there was a pretty high profile event on the news the other night with one gentleman downtown that's fairly well known in the community. Were you able to make contact with him or the incident where the news reporter, newsman was and the camera locked up? Maybe you were in town.
I was in town. I try not to watch the news, but I think I know what you're talking about. It's the one where Maxwell was doing the interview. Yeah. I mean, we know who the person. I know who the person is, but we haven't.
So in our, maybe just our daily, like what our days look like, we have some partnerships in the community to pick up food, so every morning we are able to pick up some foods and sandwiches. We also have a connection with like getting some shelf stable stuff that we can carry in our car. We collect donations for socks and stuff like that, hats and anything that's needed outside right now, especially that it's getting cold, and we just kind of put everything in our car. And then we go to various places around town and just checking in with folks, following up with folks. We have access to the shelter list every morning, so it's been slim numbers as far as the availability goes. So we try to, coordinate with everybody and fill those beds and kind of keep tabs of our list of people that want to go inside, and trying to find them and reconnect with them and letting them know, hey, this is available right now. Like, are you willing to go? Are you ready to go? And then we facilitate transport sometimes we transport ourselves depending on how full our car is. We have a doctor that does street medicine with us, that does outreach with us on Thursday. So we go and try to connect with people that have needs for wound care or he's amazing. He does
all kinds
anything.
of stuff.
We have a substance use partner with us on Mondays and Tuesdays that has access to a lot of the treatment facilities around town in the valley, and they try to do peer-to-peer outreach, right? Peer-to-peer basically, and try to get people connected to detox and treatment.
We help with a lot of case management stuff because a lot of folks just aren't connected. So if they are up on housing or they have, I know we hear a lot about like housing ready documents or whatever. So we help with a lot of that. So people, we are all aware that their stuff just gets stolen or lost or misplaced. So we help with a lot of getting to the DMV to get new license or getting to vital statistics to get birth certificates, whatever they might need. Because we have access to like back information, we can also do homeless verifications. If other officers have had contact and we know this person has been living homeless for years, then we can go through and document kind of that missing piece for that homeless documentation, which can help with housing as well. And then we have some pretty good just contacts. There's a lot of awesome community services. We just have the ability to go out and offer that connection, whether it's just to make a phone call back. So a lot of places have one outreach worker, or outreach we know it's not a billable service. And so that can sometimes be a little hard for agencies to go out and spend 4 hours looking for a person. And we're not bound by that. So we can spend 4 hours looking for somebody for housing. If they're up on housing or if they just need something, we have that luxury of being able to do that and not have to worry about. And I come from a background of mental health when I used to work for a big agency. So I know what that split is like, trying to get my billable hours and still do a great job. And it's a very hard balance. So we like to kind of fit in there if we need to with some of our providers to say, hey, like we have the time to look for them. We're out there 10 hours a day. So we can help, kind of find those people. So. Yeah,
Go ahead, Will.
First off, thank you both for being here and for all y'all's work. We really appreciate it, and your work in the community. I'm curious, based off of all of y'all's experience, like out in the field, and for background. So my name is Will Walker, and I chair our community partners committee. So I often look at things from kind of the system lens, and we do a gap analysis. And so I'm like especially curious, based off of y'all's experience, where do y'all see some of the biggest areas of need, the biggest gaps, and like where are the biggest areas that the system can support y'all's work? I know, as you said, that like there are limited resources, but as particular as possible, like are there particular resources that we need more than others? And would just love to hear y'all's perspective.
Yes, well, I can share that some of our most the most vulnerable population, that isn't able to really come out and ask for help or even know where the resources are, how to get them. And I think that is just kind of a big gap that we have, and that we don't have some of the space where someone can go be safe and still get that care. And I'm trying to figure out the right wording without we've had to work with commissioners to get people out of state, even just to say they're not safe here and we don't have the resources here to care for someone. And so I think that is, in my opinion, a big gap here in services. And then well, there's a lot of gaps in services. But for me, that's the biggest, because we see that a lot. We see a lot of very vulnerable people, just kind of living outside. And a lot of times they haven't been touched by anybody. Last year, we did a big push to get people into shelter. And I think you guys will remember this, like a big push to get people into winter shelter last year. And when Ruth and I were going out and picking people up and then taking them into shelter, they had been either discharged from HMIS or had never been in HMIS. And to me, that is a very big disconnect there, when our most vulnerable are in our system, because they just don't have the ability to walk into someplace and get on the system, right? So that was kind of really big for me last year. I don't know, Ruth.
I think one of the things that we also, that I think is a big gap is just, there's no space that somebody can go to say, I need an ID, I need housing, I need all these services like right now, and who can help me? We do have the navigation center and they're doing an amazing job, but it's really hard for people, like when they need the housing stuff taken care of to go, and they don't have an ID, or they don't have like certain, you tell them to go here, and then, you know, time means nothing outside. So it's really hard. How do I get there? And, oh, I have to be there by like a certain time tomorrow. Usually we lose people because there's so much asked of them that they can't really follow through with it on their own. So there's a lot of like the gap, I think, not being able to walk alongside somebody from beginning to end and see somebody get all their stuff taken care of, and then what's to come after. Like, you know, we place somebody in the shelter system. Okay, great, now they're in the shelter system, but then what happens after that? How do we succeed like in getting them moved on? And because being in a shelter system for years and years, we have people in a shelter system for years, and it's like, how do we get people moving out of the shelter system and get them to where they need to go or want to go, or like, how do we work on all that as well? So I think that's a in my opinion, a big gap as well. It's just, we always think housing is so important, and it is, but once somebody is housed, that what's next? Like there's a lack of services, a lack of things that people are being offered to make sure they stay consistent and stay successful, and not like fall out of housing because of, you know, whatever the supports that are now missing that they don't have anymore. So I think that was like 5 or 6 things all at once. So I don't know, I'm just also, but that's just some of the things that we experience, because we see people fall out of places because they have behaviors, or they can't manage, or they're late 5 minutes or whatever, and they just get kicked out of places, and then they're outside again. It's this never ending cycle. With, you know, no solutions.
And I think that just one more thing, because you asked the question, so now I'm gonna put it out there. But there's a lot of duplication, right? Because there's so many people, and the system is, so you might have 4 agencies working with one person, and then no agencies working with another person, because there's really no way to see who's really working with who and at what capacity and what level and where they're at in the process. And so sometimes we'll be midway through something to find out, you know, like, ACHS they're already halfway on to housing, like they're already doing all of this, and now here we are trying to redo it. Or vice versa, right? Like there's something already happening, and there's just like trying to figure that piece out, I think would be maybe a little helpful.
Thank you both.
Yeah, go ahead, Laura. I'm hoping that you guys are showing up on there in the order you raised your hands. We'll find out.
I think Susan was before me, but I'll go really, really quick. So I know that you guys weren't always the Hope team. Now you guys have had many different scopes and many different roles. I'm just curious if you can run us through a quick we started here, this is what we did, this is where we are now, and this is where we are going?
Like how we started with Hope specifically, or just, well, I was on loan when I used to work for AKBH. I mean, I've been a lot of places, API, AKBH, but prior to this was AKBH. And I was part of their outreach team there before it went away. And then they loaned me to APD to do, it's now called Impact, but it was the CAP team. And so they would do all the outreach into the camps. And I remember when I did outreach, my folks would come in and be like, those police came in, they didn't say it so nicely. And then they did all of these things to my camp. And I thought, what the heck? Why would they do this? What is happening? And so basically they would leave me out. I thought, I'm gonna go over there and do all of this stuff, which never happened because they had already fixed, I mean, they had already kind of changed the way they were doing things before I even came over, which was pretty cool to see, but being able to see it from both lenses, like the law enforcement side and then the outreach side, because I was very strongly on the outreach side and not understanding so much the other side. So that was a really kind of eye opener for me, and being able to fit somewhere in the middle of all of that, which was a challenge in the beginning, but it's really, really kind of an interesting thing now. So that's how I started, and I did that for, gosh, about a year. And then maybe less than a year. And then they said, hey, this is going super great. How about we pair you with our CIT person and you can help do calls for service at a much bigger level, not just to those experiencing homelessness. And I thought, okay. And so that is how Ruth and I got paired up. And I was super intimidated at first because everybody's like, Ruth. And I was super nervous when she came into my office, and I thought, oh my God, I have one shot. This is it. But now she's been with me for, her and I, we say 7 years, but I feel like it's been a little bit longer. And then so we did the mental health, the MIT is what it's called now, but when it first was just the two of us for many, many years, like 5 years or something, 6 years, just doing calls for service and trying to do the highest users of like services and trying to come up with like response plans. So patrol would know how to respond to someone who was in a mental health crisis. So there's all kinds of stuff happened in those 5 or 6 years. And then like Ruth was saying, that team kind of expanded, and now they have some 5 or 6 officers and clinicians. And so when the chief came and said, hey, would you like to do this? Ruth and I are like, absolutely, because it's kind of how we first met in the first place anyway. So it just seemed like a natural kind of path back. And so, yeah, a lot of things have changed in those 5 or 6 years in the community from even when I was doing it back with CAP at the time. So that's kind of how I got started in my history there.
And where are you guys going with the Hope team? What is your guys' goal?
Well, our vision is called AMDOT. It's the Anchorage Multidisciplinary Outreach Team. And the goal there, like I said, we just came back from LA. So we'd kind of been talking about this before LA, and we talked with a lot of providers about a year ago. When Hope first started, we had a big community meeting. And from that, we kind of dwindled down to a core group of people that was very interested in providing these daily services. So it would be a space where different, disciplines, right, came together to provide housing, treatment, physical, mental health services kind of in one location on a daily basis. So it would be a place where everybody reports to as a team, almost like a citywide ACT team. Like if you think about an ACT team, that's essentially what it would be, with every service that someone experiencing homelessness might need to get out of homelessness. So we went to LA, seen a lot of cool stuff, came back. We have a meeting here in the next couple of weeks. We finally have a space that we can do this out of. And so we're very excited to kind of see what this turns into in the next couple of months. We have a lot of partners very interested in sharing that space with us, either on a full-time or kind of on loan, like I first started basis. So we hopefully in the next couple of months, we'll have an update on that. But that is our vision, to create just like a space where everybody can come in. It doesn't matter what they need or what time of day it is, it's there, or someone is there to be able to help them do that in this space. And I think the key takeaway is that this is an outreach team, so AMDOT is the Anchorage Multidisciplinary Outreach Team, so the idea is not to be in that space where people have to come in. The idea is that we're gonna spend most of our time still out in the community, but we have a home base, so if you're out there and you need and want treatment, you have a space to scoop this person up, take them there, do their intake, and they have a place to be for a couple of hours until that bed is open. They have a place to be safe. So right now, if we go out and we want treatment, it's like, okay, hang tight here, your person will be here in 2 hours, right? They're on their way, but hang tight here. This is not that. This is a, let's take you back to a space. There's already someone there that can meet you because now there's not this 2 hour wait. It's also a place where if someone has one outreach worker, now they can pair up with someone else to go out and do outreach together. And if you go to a camp and you notice in this camp, there's a lot of need for substance use or a lot of need for housing, or, and there's always a need for housing, but they're on the verge, right? You can take people from this AMDOT back out and still bring them. But also, like, to just speak frank, there's a lot of movement right now with people having to move different locations and not being able to be in one space for very long. Hopefully this turns into a space where if that happens, we're not losing those people in the middle of trying to do whatever it is that each outreach worker is trying to do. So they would have a place to come back to, and they would know that no matter what time of day, there's going to be someone in this office that's going to know what's going on and be able to help them, whether their outreach worker is out doing outreach or not, someone will have an update. So that's kind of our goal. It's a big.
Great, thank you.
I love that. That sounds great. And thank you for all the hard work that you guys do for our community. I'm Susan. I work for Catholic Social Services, and I also chair the data committee here. And I just wanted to know what you would want. How can homeless service providers support you in your work? So thinking about the work that we all do in the community, what's something that is lacking, or like something that you think is an essential piece of that partnership?
Well, I think that's a tough question because everybody already does such great work and we kind of have the connection back to them. So, I mean, in our vision of AMDOT, it would be that, like being able to have this place where, I don't know if anybody's ever been to LA, but I just have this vision of like their Skid Row campus and like this beautiful place where everybody could just come and be and exist, and it's great and lovely, and all the providers are kind of there. So, and I think that one day we will get there. I really do. So, I mean, I think everybody's kind of already being mostly as supportive as they can be, and just the phone calls and the connection and the resources. But having that space, I think, where everybody's together is kind of my goal. I don't know if that is a helpful answer or not, but.
And I think the sharing of the information,
yes.
like information sharing, I think is crucial. And as part of this MDOT project, that's kind of what we envision too, is like we have the ability to share information and case conference every day and every morning. And then kind of know our direction and where we're gonna go for the day and whatever, like be able to plan it out. But information sharing, I think, is really crucial, and that's something that is a challenge right now, especially for us, because we have no access to HMIS or any of the systems that are in place that give that information. Or so that's something that we're working on too, and trying to figure out a good plan for that.
Yeah, and I did just want to hop in there. If you don't regularly come to the AKIC HMIS advisory board meetings, this has been an ongoing discussion there with both Anchorage representatives and Balance of State. One thing that is, I think, really beautiful about our system is that we have a statewide implementation. So we can see in our system when someone is accessing shelter in Bethel, for example, and then we can see, oh, now they're here. And it kind of tells us that person's journey throughout the state.
Yeah.
In a lot of communities, they don't have that. And so all you see is their interactions here. And so when the Hope team was formed, we really wanted to explore and figure out and dig in how we could get some of that information sharing in a way that helped all of us do the work that we're doing, but also gave a comfort level to people experiencing homelessness that this isn't just a blanket, the police can see your info now, and wanting to figure out how we navigate that, that kind of safety of the information. So those are ongoing discussions. If you want to be part of them, definitely reach out and come to those advisory board meetings and be part of. I know Susan's on all the places where data is discussed, but and be part of those conversations. But ultimately, where that decision would lie is with this body. So a little bit of like a sneak preview of we're working on this, and it's likely to come to you all for a vote for approval up or down, whichever way it goes. But we're all really invested in figuring out how other communities have done this when they have a team like the Hope Team. We're pretty unique. There's not a lot of you all out there in different communities, and so we're hoping we can be kind of pioneering in how we come together and collaborate on that information sharing. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Thanks. You started to answer my question a little bit when you were giving your origin story, but can you expand on the who MIT is versus MCT? I mean, I know it all is going to fall under this new MDOT umbrella, but I think for several people in the community, for sure, there's confusion, right? Who are we talking about? Is it firefighters or is it police? And so, can you just give sort of the dummy's guide to who's MCT, who's MIT, and who the heck are you?
Yeah.
Thanks.
And it is confusing because there's so many acronyms out there. I'm totally with you. So MIT stands for Mobile Intervention Team, and that's housed within the Anchorage Police Department. And this is a team that responds to calls for service that involve when there's safety issues. For example, if somebody has suicidal ideations and they're actively suicidal, for example, they have a knife in their hand and it's just a safety issue. AFD would not be responding to that because they kind of take calls where, it's somebody maybe thinking about, they're having thoughts about suicide, but they want to talk to somebody, like they need to problem solve. And then we also have the 988 option for that. People that are interested in talking about things, they usually get routed to 988, or they have the option to go to 988. Also, the fire department is a place where people get routed to if there's no fear for safety, essentially. And that's really what it comes down to, like the safety factor, the imminent risk of anything happening. The police would be the people to respond to that if there's anything that's actively like standing out, or if there's a concern for that. So that's kind of the difference between the two teams. I don't know, does that kind of make sense? Or also if there's like a medical issue, right, it would probably make more sense for AFD to go respond to that. We have a lot of people that cross over. We have a lot of the friendly faces that work with both of our teams, and we're trying to always figure out who's the best team to respond, because sometimes this individual might have a better relationship maybe with APD, but it's the AFD level, so maybe it's faster for me to call this person and say, okay, what's going on today? How can we work through this? And it takes 5 minutes versus like AFD having to go and try to like work with that person for an hour. So it kind of depends, but we have the main difference is basically if there's a safety issue involved, the police response versus AFD response, we kind of decipher that. And dispatch has a whole mechanism in place to determine who should go. Sometimes when we have APD officers that are very familiar with an individual and it does not meet the requirement, or this person is willing to AFD, they sometimes route it to them. So there's a whole mechanism in place that kind of routes these calls.
And the AFD team is the mobile crisis team, right?
Yes, the AFD, yeah,
So
their
MCT.
MCT, yes, mobile crisis team.
Thank you.
And then the Hope team is basically, we are not really connected to any of that right now. I mean, we just do outreach in the community. And sometimes our people cross over, obviously, if they're, you know, if we're not on, like, and there's a call for service and it involves somebody, either team would respond, like, I don't know, but no, there's not a lot of crossover between Hope and MIT and MCT, I would say.
I have a quick question that's like a carry on to that. I know that when we call 311, that's kind of how you get the different teams. Is the Hope team a team that you can actually request through there? Because you can call in, you know, like give your scenario and that. So the Hope team is something. So someone could call 311 and say,
Yeah.
I want Ruth and Tanya.
Yes.
So I just want to do a quick time check. We're at 4:44 and we have a couple more items to go over. I don't know, Jamie has his hand up. Jamie, do you have a quick question?
Sure, it's a question, sort of a dialogue, but obviously there's not much time. I'm the other guy who goes out, the one that goes out at night, guns, knives, machetes, cartel, any sort of stuff. But the main thing about this is, personally, I don't think police should have access to HMIS for the simple reason there's location data, there's contact information, things like that. And there's any number of people outside that either are scared of police, have open warrants, and they just don't want to interact with police because there are consequences after that. With that said, you know, I do think you guys are doing good work, and you know, I do see it. But on the flip side, you know, I see the clients and the people that are out there, and so then one of the questions that I had. How many? Just curious, in your estimate, how many homeless people do you think are outside in town right now, from those that you've come across?
I don't know that I keep count like that.
Okay.
It's hard to give you a number. So I don't know. I mean, I know we have the point in time count, so I guess I would just kind of defer to the point in time count for that. But I mean, we see new faces all the time and we see a lot of the same faces.
Yeah.
Such a good question, but it's a tough one.
Okay. With that said, and I know somebody else is in the room, so if you can't answer, I understand why. So right now the policies are to displace people, and you mentioned having trouble to find people. So on one hand, you know, you guys are going out and you're trying to help people, and then you have the other guys that are going out and they're displacing people, and most of the time they're not even trying to you know, connect people with services in any particular way. Like over right around Davis Park, but technically one person was at Davis Park yesterday. They just basically displaced people for like the 5th or 6th time in 2 months, and this is happening all over town. I guess basically what I'm trying to get at is you probably don't have a position that you can say publicly about the displacements, but it is getting cold, and I don't know if there's anything you can do to try and tell the people above you that this is going to have consequences because there's not enough shelter. And I see where this is going. So my question is, do you have a position on the endless displacements? My guess is you probably can't talk about it. All right, I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.
No, I love that you bring that up because it is a concern and it's a valid concern. And we have some ideas that we got from LA when we were there. So we are working on proposing those, and I'm not sure where this is going to go, but I know that we have people that are going to be listening to us, and hopefully we can implement some changes in the way that things are done right now. And we're pretty excited about it. So that's all I have right now, but we learned some real things that we want to implement and propose. So we'll see.
I think more to come.
And one last thing, if you can text me a cell number if you have it where I can reach it, because there is a lady that I was trying to bring to a meeting yesterday, and she needs to hear back from me on something, and she's been trying to get housed. So if you could text me some contact information via chat PM, it'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. And thank you to the Hope team, Ruth and Tanya, for the wonderful information and the conversation that we had today. I really appreciate it. Jessica, if you don't mind putting their contact information in the chat, then everybody on this meeting can kind of follow up with them, any additional questions that they might have. And then I think that we'll need to move into our committee reports. Chris, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. And I'll begin with a question that maybe Jessica can answer. I know there is a summary form that we completed after our last meeting to capture sort of what was discussed and what the next steps are and things like that. But I didn't see it in our packets and so I just wanted to highlight that for Jessica that the ABAC committee met in September, and we did have a meeting and we prepared a summary of it, but I didn't see it in the notes. I guess the key takeaway is we've got a punch list of activities for committee members to conduct before they come back together next week, or sorry, next week or the week after for our October meeting. And several of those include bringing back specific information and updates from the business committee members on the types of information that their constituencies are looking for as it relates to homelessness, to make sure that we are capturing and reporting data and information that's useful for the community members to evaluate how we're doing on our response. As well as they wanted to bring back several opportunities for representatives from the coalition or from the advisory council to directly engage with these constituencies to help them hear directly from providers, for example, about the work you all are doing in the field. Oftentimes there's a big disconnect between the hard work of everyone on this call and what Joe Business Owner sees on the street. So we're trying to improve the relationships and the communications between them, and we'll have some specific asks for HPRS members here soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris.
Okay. Thanks, Jessica. I see your note.
What about the compliance committee?
Is Randy on?
Yeah, thanks. But I can give a little quick update.
Yeah.
So Randy and I are connecting to get her caught up on where we left off with some of the governance charter and community standards updates. And then we'll set a new meeting cadence for the compliance committee. So if that's something you're interested in attending, you can drop your name in the chat. You can send me a text or an email, or Randy a text or an email, and we'll get you included in that invite. But that's where the compliance committee is hoping to hit the ground with those updates to the governance charter and the community written standards. There's some outdated information related to the pandemic still in there, and so we want to get those updates and get that stuff out.
Awesome, thank you. What about community priorities?
Given the time, I'll try to keep it brief. We met Monday. We basically talked about the emergency response. Our next meeting will be November 3rd, and we'll be hoping to finalize the gap analysis if you're interested in our priorities as a community and trying to address various gaps and bottlenecks. Would love to have you and your involvement on the committee. We meet at 4 p.m. on that Monday.
You will. Data, Susan.
Yeah, so we met on the 15th. We talked about where the data committee will be going over the next year. We looked at the charter that needs to be finalized. We're reviewing it, and hopefully we'll have it finalized at the next meeting. We talked about the AKHMIS governance documents that are coming for a vote today. They don't have to go through the data committee. They go through the advisory council for the AKHMIS system, but those are good to go, and hopefully we can vote on those today. And then we also talked about some data quality things that are bubbling up to the surface around the community. Data quality is an important part of our data system, and so we as an HPRS should have our eye on that. At our next meeting, we're going to be talking about the Medicaid data matching project with ACH and the balance of state. I sent out the documents around that for the committee to review, and then we're going to finalize the data committee charter, and our meeting is on the 19th. So come if you want to talk about those things.
Thank you. Coordinated entry met today, and the whole group kind of got to see what the prioritization subgroup got to do or is doing. We will have the coordinated entry evaluation meeting next week, and the evaluation meetings happen every other week, and the prioritization happens on the opposite every other weeks. And then we meet as a whole group once a month. So we're working on prioritization and then the coordinated entry evaluation. I think that's it for the committee reports. We have an advisory council fall retreat summary. Pretty much the whole advisory council sat down and had a quick retreat. And it was really centered on committee development, coordination, and future planning. The primary goal was to strengthen the structure, the functionality, and the accountability of the HPRS committees in order to ensure alignment and system-wide priorities. And we really focused on the purpose and roles of each committee, what leadership and membership look like, work plan development, and then collaboration and accountability. And so we're really hoping to finalize the committee membership lists, get all of the committee meetings scheduled and on a docket and out to the general public so that they can participate. And then kind of really establishing reporting templates and communication protocols, and so that we are providing strength-based updates at all of our advisory council meetings. And then does Jessica have any government or operations reports?
I don't have anything specific. If you wanted me to run through just really quick some of the response to the emergency, the Western Alaska effects of the Typhoon Halong. We've been working pretty closely with the state and the municipality emergency operations centers and response teams. There is a task force stood up that is focused on housing and identifying long-term housing resources for the individuals that were displaced by that emergency, both here in Anchorage and around the state. Right now, there are people in many different communities, and the focus is really a statewide focus on identifying those resources. We did get a federal emergency declaration yesterday, so that unlocked some FEMA resources that go alongside our state emergency resources. And when I say resources, I mean dollars and people, and in some cases, housing units. So AHFC is taking the lead on identifying housing units, whether that is apartments, houses, in some cases, short-term rentals that will be rented for longer term. And in some cases where someone's displacement from their home might be shorter term, that could be hotel rooms for a shorter period of time. So they are working on identifying all of those units throughout the state, and then we'll be working as a team to identify the needs of the different households and match people up. So I've been out and some of my team members have been out at the shelters, having conversations with people about household needs, working really closely with the Red Cross, who is out in the shelters as well, of course, operating the shelters. So we can make sure that families that want and need to stay together are matched up with a housing resource that allows that to happen. And families that maybe need to be in multiple housing units but close together are able to be accommodated in that way as well. So yeah, continuing that work, and thank you to everyone who has been supportive of that as well. It's been a little bit of thrown into it, and everyone in this community and communities around the state have really just stepped up and done what we do and made things happen. So yes, there's well, actually multiple HMIS projects. We
had some advice from HUD Disaster TA, in their connections with this particular emergency, that having that information, especially as HUD funds could be unlocked with a federal declaration, which now happened yesterday. Having some of that information is important. We did keep the projects pretty high level, so mostly intended to gather that household information, the ages of the people in the household and their contact information and housing preferences. There are projects for the balance of state, both with the individual shelters that are existing outside of Anchorage, and communities that are just providing supports to people who have been displaced into their community. And then here in Anchorage, of course, we have 2 shelters that have people in there, a little over 300 people across both shelters. And then hundreds more that are here in Anchorage, but with friends or family, or self-funding a hotel room or Airbnb or rental property. So all of that is working really closely together. The state is working on putting together some information on their side. So I'm not sure how long-term and how coordinated some of it will be going forward, but it was really helpful to get a good picture of who is in the shelters and what type of housing units we needed to be looking for. Sorry, I answered Susan's question that was in the chat if people hadn't seen it. Susan was asking if we were utilizing AKHMIS for documentation.
No, awesome. Thank you, Jessica. Can I get a quick count to see if we have a quorum to make a vote?
Roger.
Mitch, do you have a number?
I think I'm counting 13, which should still be quorum.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. Yes, we're good. I apologize. I was on mute. Yeah, you guys are good to vote.
Okay, awesome. So Jessica sent out some information on an item that we're going to vote on. Jana, can you go through and do a quick brief summary of what we are voting on today?
There actually wasn't any major changes in the documents. If you look at the change table, a lot of it was just updating some information to match the other parts of the policies that we just need to do some word clarification. I know that we added some information from some feedback from the advisory board about the partnering agreements that I think that we adjusted in the agreements as well. We extended the boundaries about data release and disclosure to ensure greater HMIS data protection. So you'll see that on page 7 of the document. In addition, I think this is the main thing, is the health and security, or the health and safety procedure enhancement. That was just a broader update policy to allow any CHO to release client data to non-CHOs, adding this line in conjunction with the previous addition of requiring all uses and disclosure under these additional types to go through the HMIS lead or COC, ensures a greater protection of the release. And I think Kim gave me a couple things to point out, so I'm just make sure I'm pointing out all of these. There was a section too about the some AI stuff. So we just expanded the privacy and security section to include the advance of that. We formalized adding some new organizations for clear boundaries. We've had a lot of non-traditional organizations that have been wanting to join HMIS. So this is just more of formalizing like what does an organization look like, and what are those requirements. And I think that was like the main things. All of this went through the advisory board. Kim did a new kind of way of like voting and all this. So each update that was significant had an opportunity to be reviewed and updated, each significant change. And then we just added some things that were the updated really with the federal reporting cycle and some different language that HUD had sent us, that hadn't been updated since the last time we had done privacy and security policy and the charter. So we just updated that language to match HUD. So
Great, thank you. And for everybody kind of looking at this document, this is coming from the AKHMIS Advisory Board. And they oversee all of these policies and procedures and documents for the whole state of Alaska. So that's the balance of state COC and the Anchorage COC. And this really governs all of the data sharing and data system that we are currently utilizing. So that's all of AKHMIS. So with that said, I would like to seek a motion to approve all of these changes.
Roger, I so motion.
Do I have a second?
Chris will make that second.
Great, thank you. So
Thank you.
moved. All right, thank you for staying on for a couple additional minutes to make that vote. I really appreciate it. Right now, we will go into a quick public question and comment period.
Yeah. Oh, I was just saying that the vote is a membership vote, so anyone who's in attendance can vote on it. It's not just counselors.
Okay, good to know. Were there any, does anybody have any questions or comments based on that vote?
Yeah,
Yes, I
quick comment, if it's okay. So anyways, where do I go with this? Past week and a half, Typhoon Huang hits, and essentially people are displaced from Western Alaska, and they're brought to Anchorage and evac, put in the Alaska Airlines Center, put in the Egan Center, and the Red Cross comes in, World Kitchen, basically brand new donations, not used donations, and then on top of this, apparently 1,000 hotel beds have been identified, as well as 100 apartments per the Muni. And so I'm watching this, and it's a bit like the Twilight Zone, where I'm not against people getting help, and I think a lot of people in this meeting are for people getting help, but it seems like there's two different standards here, and people outside right now are being endlessly displaced. They're not getting help whatsoever, and they're being driven into the ground. And likewise, their option is either go to shelter's full most of the time, or essentially what ends up happening is the overflow is Anchorage Safety Center, and that's essentially the jail. And so people are going to be left outside, and I know a lot of people see this play out, but they're afraid to say things, they're afraid to raise questions, fearing that they'll lose careers, friends, and funding streams. But I think it needs to be done. And so I don't know if anybody is willing to ask the tough questions. The journalists certainly are not. But that was essentially what I sort of wanted to communicate today. And please try to help those people that are in need. Yesterday, a bunch of people got displaced over near Lions, and there were 50 people in Lions Park last night, just after something else happened. And so all that said, have a great month. See you next month.
Thanks, Jamie. Is there anybody else for public comment? I want to back up just for a second. I just want to double check and make sure there weren't any additional comments on the motion that was made to approve the AKHMIS advisory board changes.
I I didn't have any questions, but I think this happened twice during this meeting. I heard the motion and the second, but I never heard a call for a vote. So I'm just a little confused by that, but I could also just have missed it. So sorry if I did that.
No, you didn't. I just got ahead of myself trying to get the meeting over. So I didn't, and Jessica kind of stopped, but we had already kind of entered into Jamie's comment. So that's why I was asking if there were any additional questions or comments, and then I wanted to open the vote.
Okay, sorry. Thanks for.
No, you're good.
I'm not crazy. Okay, thank you.
You're not. I may be, but you're not. So there was a motion on the table to approve the AKHMIS advisory board updates to their policies and procedures. So we want to call a vote for all those in favor.
Yes, Roger.
Yes, Susan.
Yes, Charles Gorman.
Yes. Chris
Yes,
Shooting.
Amber McPhail.
All those opposed? Hearing none, I think the motion passes.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Thea. Okay, I don't think we have time for good news and community events unless there is anything outstanding. And Jessica can always send out any volunteer and advocacy opportunities that you guys are interested in. Are there any closing remarks?
Good job running the meeting, Laura.
Thanks. All right, our next monthly meeting is going to be November 20th, and we're doing that 1 week early due to the Thanksgiving holiday. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second. Charles.
Thanks, Charles. All right, have a good weekend, guys.
Thank you all.
You too. Thank you.